Dr. Idehen, don't you think every member of my church are inoculated? I said, are they inoculated? He said, yes. They are all inoculated in the name of the Lord. So the Spirit of the Lord is inoculation. I said, well, yes, I am a scientist. But that one you are talking about now, I'm not very sure if, is it physical to physical or is it spiritual to spiritual? He said it is spiritual I'm talking about. I said, well, I am a scientist. I also believe in the Lord. Before God, everything's possible. My topic for today is vaccination, COVID-19 vaccination. I'm not going to go through the history of COVID-19. Okay. And we all know that March last year, or let me say after my return back from Nigeria, around February, then the epidemic of coronavirus started, the wave started. All my patients that went to Spain, to Italy, to Austria for winter holiday, they all came back with mysterious symptoms. So I wasn't prepared for that sort of symptoms. I know for sure that there is what we call atypical bacteria infection. Atypical bacteria infection, atypical pneumonia, atypical infection. So this guided me to manage this patient that I didn't even know what it was all about, that it was a new virus born into the world. Some came with different symptoms. Some came with the usual symptoms that look like the flu. On the 12th, 13th of March, a year ago, the Norwegian government came out with the news that the World Health Organization have just declared the pandemic with the new virus that just came into being, and that everybody now should be very careful. And then they all came with the regulations that wash your hands, put on your mask, sanitize very well, give a very good social distance. It started from going from 3 meters, and up to today, I think the meters is still increasing, the social distancing. Thank you. So, thank you. So this became the rules and the order of the day. Everybody, you hear it both here and there, in the TV, in the news, in the mass media. Wash your hands, put on your mask, social distancing became the slogan of the day. And it actually continued up to today. So when we look at how it's spread, people were now questioning, where did it come from? Is it from Africa? Is it from Ebola? Is it from Congo? Is it from Uganda? And nobody actually knows until the mass media, led by President President Trump in America, with his fake news, started discussing America as the source of the virus. He said this is a Chinese virus. So he gave the lead, and actually the Chinese were hiding the outbreak. In Wuhan, China, where it was first discovered, we are now learning that the outbreak has been going on for ages in China. Chinese have been using masks for very many years. So even though we did not know when the outbreak started, but it was recorded that it was in Wuhan, China, the origin of the coronavirus. How did it come about? Nobody knows. But the speculation continues that the transmission was between animal and human being. That when you eat pangolins, or when you eat certain other animals with thick shells, you'll probably be contaminating coronavirus. So the bush meat market in China went into a lockdown. And the doctors in the hospitals in Wuhan started experiencing an increase in admission and even death. The rapid increase in admission followed by a rapid death rate. So people started questioning, what is this virus? How did it come about? When is it going to be over? Is this like the ordinary flu? Again, President Trump says it is ordinary flu. Don't worry. Be happy. I don't want to scare you. So we are still in the process. It is just 1 year ago this very paranormal started. This pandemic started. This abnormality in infectious diseases started. We started seeing experts, epidemiologists, infectious specialists, and so forth coming forward to give us guidelines and the way forward. So there are a lot of questions today, very many questions. People are still asking, is this real? Is this a virus? Is this made in the lab? Is this made by the Chinese military in order to sell their products? Is it American-made? So there was a conflict between America and China on where the origin of the virus came from. And it's still a conflict. It's still a contesting issue today. So I assume that everybody here has a lot of questions with the history and origin of coronavirus, just like Ebola and many other things. The coronavirus is a family of the virus that was known as SARS-2. This actually originated from China also. SARS-2 started from China, but it was quickly closed and quickly dealt with by the Chinese and its allies. The Americans did not partake in the fight against SARS virus. So coronavirus is actually a family member of SARS-2. The difference is clear. SARS-2 was quickly dealt with, but the coronavirus went uncontrolled from China and throughout the world. So when the World Health Organization was defining coronavirus pandemic, It took the World Health Organization a long time to actually come up with the pandemic. The pandemic was already ongoing, and it also was a problem with the Chinese. So the coronavirus causes COVID-19. COVID-19, it can as well be COVID-20, it's up to you. COVID-19 has been a battle since 2019. So we are now in 2020, now 2021. 2020 was the battle year. And for scientists, it was one of the greatest achievements. With the speed and the rate at which they all went to their labs and started working on vaccine. The scientists are very clever. These are molecular chains, especially knowing the SARS family, the SARS virus. They were able to put together sequencing of the DNA through the RNA to actually put together the vaccine that can stimulate antibodies. So they went into action. Vaccine is not a miracle. Vaccine is real. It either gives you a negative side effect or it gives you a positive side effect. But in most cases, the scientists are always fighting to get the 99% efficacy of their products. So they want to vaccinate with a product that is 99% effective. So with the rapid spread and then with the rapid rate of developing the vaccine, that will tell you that the scientists actually they are not God. They work with God. The pandemic is, like I said, is worldwide. It's still ongoing. People that are affected can be both symptomatic. That means that you have symptoms, or not having any symptoms. How do you know that you are infected by coronavirus? How do you know that you are having COVID-19? Well, you have symptoms which actually looks like the ordinary flu, the ordinary influenza, with sore throat, with cough, with fever, aches, body aches and pain, muscular pains, and things of that nature. So these are the ordinary symptoms. We will come back to the more severe symptoms, apart from these mild symptoms I just mentioned. It was due to the very high alarming rate of death, rapid infection, rapid death. The mortality among the people, the most high-risk group, was found to be among the elderly, the old people, and especially those living in the institutions. When there is a crowd of people, or when there are crowds of people, especially in the institutions, not only in the elderly home, but in any other institution where there are a crowd of people. So the high mortality among the old people and people with comorbidity became the target. I can remember early 80s when HIV started. HIV is a virus. It's also started almost like this pandemic. The only difference was that that was through sexual transmission and through blood transfusion. But this coronavirus, how do you transmit it? How does it come about? Is this droplets? Is this through intravenous? Is it through toilet? Is it through eating food or water or whatsoever? So all those things came into questioning just because of the speed at which you infect each other, and then the speed at which one dies from the infection. So those were the things that led to the scientists to start working on the vaccination. Today, vaccination has become the order of the day. Everybody is hoping that with vaccine, we will be able to overcome COVID-19 disease or infection. Yes, it is logical. Wash your hand, put on mask, and social distancing will do its own job also. I remember that during the pandemic, the main time of pandemic, the church was almost being closed because of social gathering. So social gathering has become a problem with coronavirus pandemic. There should be no more than a number of people gathering together. There should be few people in the house. In actual sense, the pandemic is antisocial pandemic disease. And most people were saying that, well, in the Western world, coronavirus has added to their social distancing. They want to distance from third world, so they will get it now. So nobody should cross the Norwegian border today. The Norway border is closed because of the pandemic. So they have every good reason to raise the alarm and to close the border. So you can't do otherwise. So you cannot leave Nigeria today as a first-timer coming to Norway and think that you will enter the country just freely and welcome to Norway. No, it's not possible today. So the pandemic has actually pounded the gate and closed the gate for the foreigners from entering Norway. As of today, we have seven main type of vaccines that were rolled out in America, in England, and in Great Britain, and in Europe, also in China and in Russia. But the seven main ones that became outstanding, we'll go through it as time goes on. The seven main vaccine, which was developed and is actually being put into use, into inoculating people, we will see the seven types. In actual sense, there are more than 200 additional vaccines that are under development, more than 200 in the labs from different countries, India, Brazil, China, South Africa, but none is coming from Nigeria. So we have more than 60 in actual development, but in the second phase, the 200 mentioned, they are all in their primary phase. The World Health Organization has, for a period of time with Norwegian government, established what is called COVAX. The COVAX organization within the World Health is being operated by some few countries that actually was thinking of the third world to get their own share of the vaccine when it is being developed. COVAX is the act of the accelerator. So it is the one that actually is accelerating the development of these vaccines. Like I said, the virus is constantly undergoing mutation. When we say mutation, it means the virus is constantly changing in forms and in shapes and in frequency. So this COVAX is in charge of actually developing vaccines, especially in Europe and on the basis of the World Health, to make sure that one is able to prevent this mutation, this coronavirus from mutating, and from forming a different type of viruses that are resistant to these vaccines. So COVAX is in charge of this fight against virus. Vaccines in Norway today is free. Like I said, the main 7 type of vaccines, let me just go. Yeah, this is the list of the, it's difficult to see, they are very tiny. The 7 type of vaccines. Can you zoom it a little bit? Is it possible? The first vaccine that came into the market is the combinatory BioNTech and Pfizer vaccine. And this vaccine was based on mRNA technique. mRNA technique, messenger rubric acid. These are the DNA type that normally shape organisms' DNA. They are messengers' DNA. They carry the genome of the microbes or the individual or human being, yeah, in actual sense. So the Pfizer vaccine is usually given in 2 doses. To inform everybody that the vaccination started in December of this year, of last year. We are in the forefront of vaccinating as a GP. We know that Pfizer vaccines becomes very effective taken in 2 doses. That means you take your first dose, wait about 21 or 28 days, and take a second dose. Then you will have a complete immune defense. Then you will have a complete efficacy of the vaccine after 21 days with the 2 dosage. And normally, they found out that the effectivity of this vaccine is okay when given to 16 years old and above, age 16 years old and above. The same thing also came from the Moderna vaccine, the same technique of production, mRNA, and also is given in 2 dosage. Give the first day, and then you wait 28 days for Moderna, and 21 days for Pfizer vaccine. Moderna gives 95% efficacy and can be given to age 18 and above. We actually started with Pfizer in Norway. All the old people, the elderly in the nursing home were vaccinated with Pfizer. The Moderna also came later. The efficacy was found to be 95% with Moderna. The other vaccine that came into crisis was the Astrazeneca vaccine. This is, the technique is through a virus inoculated with a vector. So this system or technique being used by a lot of other companies or manufacturers of vaccines has been found to be one dose given efficacy of 66%. So it is effective 65%, excuse me. It can be given to age under 65, with AstraZeneca vaccine. And we all just heard not so long ago the issue of AstraZeneca vaccine in Denmark and in Italy, where it was reported that those who got the vaccine, not those, but very few, about 0.01%, died of the vaccine. So that led to a scramble to suspend AstraZeneca vaccine nearly in the whole of Scandinavia, especially Norway, Iceland, and Denmark. I think Sweden actually hasn't stopped using AstraZeneca. The reason is simple. AstraZeneca is owned by Swedish and is also owned by the Oxford in Great Britain. So this is that is my reason anyway. So when your product is in crisis, you will try to save it. In America, the third vaccine that came into production was from Johnson & Johnson. They also use the same they're also using the same technique as AstraZeneca to produce their vaccine, the virus and the vector. This is also given in one dose, and it has an efficacy of 65%, given to age over 18 years old and above. JJ has not come so much into usage in Europe, but in America, they have they have the three already in use to inoculate their citizens. America has an effective vaccine as of today, the Pfizer, the Moderna, and the Janssen. Then we have the fourth one here, or the fifth one, the co-shield, the Serum Lab in India. They are producing different types of vaccines, to which most of the vaccines ends up in the third world, and especially in Nigeria. Nobody knows the efficacy. They have not so much been studied in the lab. We don't actually know how it works. The irony is those producing from the third world, India, China, and South Africa hasn't started, but they are on the verge. Brazil hasn't started; they are also they're kicking on. But these are just probably the one that will have the same effect as AstraZeneca. So if AstraZeneca is in problem in Europe, then we should be sure that the Indian vaccine will also be in problem in the third world. SARS-CoV-2 Sinopharma, that is a Chinese-owned. We don't so much know the efficacies, but they are claiming different efficacies. and it can be used within a wide range of age. Sinovac is also Chinese. CanSino is also Chinese. And two other vaccines that have been pumped into the world market by the Chinese. So I will advise that when it is efficacy one is talking about, you have to look into the Pfizer, Moderna, and then eventually Astra and Johnson & Johnson. The Russian one, the Sputnik, it's been claimed to be given in one dose, and it is having efficacy of over 90%. In actual sense, this is also competing with the Chinese production, and it's the same technique that was used, human adenovirus vectors. So with all these vaccines in the market, it's not surprising that people are actually questioning, which one should I have? Should I take the Moderna? Should I take the Pfizer? Or should I take the Astrazeneca? But as a medical doctor, the advice is take what you get. Take what you get. Because you may not actually get anything. The Norwegian society is trying to rationalize the vaccines, and especially those three most effective vaccines: the Pfizer, the Moderna, and then the Johnson & Johnson, in competition with the Astrazeneca. So in the hospital here in Stavanger, Astrazeneca vaccine is being used. In the elderly home or in the nursing home, you have the Pfizer and the Moderna. And in other public places, you have the JJ vaccines. So in a way, take what you get. If you've been offered Pfizer, take Pfizer vaccine. If you've been offered Moderna, take it. The reason is also simple. They all have efficacies over 50%. Even though the one produced in China, the one produced in Brazil hasn't started yet. India has started. Chinese actually has almost 6 different types. And I pray that they don't flood the Nigerian market with their vaccines. So it is important to know which vaccine that has side effect and those without side effect. The main side effect after taking the vaccine is the swelling at the injection place. It's usually a transient side effect. Just within some minutes or 2 days, it will subside. Normally, you will have a pain in the muscles, muscle aches. Some will have fever. Some will be fatigued, bodily tiredness, and headaches. Like I said, normally they subside after 2 days. When I took my first vaccine, I did experience those symptoms or those side effects. When I took the second one, there was no side effect. Everything went fine. And that is after 2 or 3 days of the second dose of vaccine, you normally have developed your 98 immunity. Well, like the flu or any other vaccines, it may lead to what we call allergic reactions in some patients. Not all patients experience it. Allergic reactions or anaphylactic reactions where you become very dizzy, very tired, the heart beat fast, your tongue and your mouth swells up, you cannot breathe very well. Then we call it an emergency anaphylactic reactions, if it involves problem with breathing. In most cases, you will see rashes and itching in the body, redness of the skin, widespread allergic reactions all over the body that comes and go, disappearing and coming, or what we call edema in the legs, in the hands, that means swellings. In the airways, you can experience breathing difficulties. Whistling sounds that sounds like asthma, bronchial obstructions, and blocking of nose or nose blocks, nose tightness. This can also be a manifestation of the vaccine. And in the intestinal system, or in the stomach region, in the abdomen, you may experience some stomach pain, vomiting, and increased bowel movement. This is allergic reactions, and this is a side effect of some of the vaccine. In the circulatory system, you can have a low blood pressure, you can have also heart palpitation, fainting mood, and some will experience low heartbeat. There hasn't been any serious side effect reported in Norway as of today. Like I said, Norway is very good in prioritizing. They prioritize. They make sure that the resources is not being used anyhow. You cannot go to the hospital here in Norway today and say, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, and you order. It is the doctor that will say, this is what you will get. It's the same thing here with when the vaccine started. They are very good in rationalizing who will get the vaccine and who will not get the vaccine. That was why I said, take what you get. The priority was that the elderly in the nursing home and in institutions should be the very first candidate to get the vaccine. You ask me, why should an elderly person, 90 years or 100 years old, should be prioritized? Why should an 85 years old lady that is in the institution should be prioritized? My wife is a nurse. She will defend that very prioritizing. She works with the elderly. She knows the values of the elderly. The old people have contributed to the society. Don't let them die away like that. So I think morally, it has a lot to do. And sensibly, the other ages, especially I will come down to the lower age, and that is why I said, just take what you get. There will be some age group that will not get the vaccine. Number 3, 75 to 84 years old were the third priority group. And the fourth priority group from 65 to 74. The fifth priority group, 55 to 64. And these are people with underlying disease or risk conditions. The age 55 to 64. Patients with underlying disease or conditions. Age 45 to 54, again, those with underlying disease or risk conditions. Age 18 to 44 years old with underlying conditions. Age 18 to 44 years old with underlying conditions. Which means if you are actually well, if you are actually not having any other underlying condition, we will go through the different type of underlying conditions. The vaccine is actually not meant for you. But generally, the idea is that everybody is going to be vaccinated. Although children 0 to 18 is actually not included from the beginning. So 18 and 44 years old with underlying conditions. The risk groups are patients with organs transplant. When you say risk groups or risk conditions, those are patients. If I look into my list of patients and I see that within age 18 and 44, I have 2 heart transplant patient or liver transplant patient. Those patients will be my target group. So those will be the one that will come under those age 55 to age 18. 55 downwards to age 18. But it doesn't mean that if you are under 18 and then you are having an organ transplant or immune defective illness or any of the blood cancer that at least in the last 5 years, that you wouldn't get the COVID vaccine. So you will actually get if you have underlying disease at any age, Those having active cancer disease, those newly treated cancer patients, those neurological and muscular disease patients, kidney disease, chronic liver disease, immune active treatment, and autoimmune disease. These are the main core of underlying disease that needs to be helped. Otherwise, when infected with COVID-19 virus, these people will die very quickly. To save them, to help them, so they are actually the main target for the vaccination with these different type of vaccines. So the risk groups is almost the same thing that we just gone through. Those with diabetes mellitus, lung disease, asthma, cystic fibrosis, obesity, patients with BMI over 35 kg, dementia patients. Dementia patients cannot fight for themselves. They cannot. They don't even know what is going on around them. So dementias are also risk groups. So when we have patients with dementia, they will be the first to get COVID vaccine. Chronic cardiovascular diseases and stroke patients. These are all risk groups that need to be helped with the vaccine. We've mentioned some of the underlying diseases and conditions. You should not get the vaccine when you are having certain conditions. You should wait and seek the advice of the doctor. For example, if you have a known allergic reaction from before to other vaccines or to other medicines, you need to seek the advice of your GP. Should I take COVID-19 vaccine because I have a known allergic reaction to flu vaccine or to penicillin or to any other medicine? Or if you know old people, they normally have different types of illnesses. So if an old person with several diseases at the same time and does not tolerate vaccine, then you don't have to vaccinate the old patient. Persons in quarantine or in isolation, it is usually good to let them complete the quarantine first, and then they now come for testing and see if actually they were having, not actually going for testing, but they can actually develop the COVID-19 disease while under quarantine, and then they are actually immune before coming out for a test for COVID. If they are positive, COVID-19 positive patient can still get vaccination, but it means that they are already inoculated with the infection. It means they are already inoculated with the infection, and one jab, one dose can be enough for such patients. Patients having flu or influenza that is not complicated with other illnesses can still get vaccination with COVID-19 vaccines. Patients on blood thinners, patients with anticoagulation treatment can get COVID vaccine. The reason is simple. With the Astrazeneca vaccine that we were talking about, it was found that they developed, the patients that were vaccinated got blood clots easily. The clots in the lungs, clots in the arteries, in the blood, clots everywhere that kills the patient. So in a way, it is good to know if a patient is on blood thinner before applying for vaccination. It is good also to have blood thinner. That will actually prevent you from developing blood clots. So in a way, you need to seek the advice of your GP if you're on blood thinners. Patients with low immunity, immune deficiency, born with or without. Patients under treatment with immunosuppressive medications. Patients undergoing chemotherapy. And patients using steroid. You need to seek the advice of your GP before the vaccine is taken. The last one here is pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. As far as studies are concerned today, there are no good data on the effectiveness or the side effect of this COVID-19 vaccine on mothers and the fetus. But it is always advised that if one is pregnant, you can still get the COVID vaccination if the risk, the underlying disease is very high. And usually it is not in the first trimester. It has to be from the second or the third trimester. So it is important to seek the advice of your GP should I take or shouldn't I take? I have been offered a COVID-19 vaccine. Should I take it or should I wait? I normally say that it is good to be prepared. It is good to have the vaccine. As far as you don't have any underlying disease, any other conditions that warrants you not taking it, it is good to take. I will advise that the most popular and worldwide recognized vaccines, one should strive to get that one. Moderna, Pfizer, JJ, and Astrazeneca, if those are the ones that are offered initially, it is good to say thank you, I will take it. Like I said before, no one is lesser than 50% efficacy. They are all over 50%. And as a result, it is good to be prepared 50% than to be prepared 0%. So AstraZeneca is in trouble. Yes, it will still come back again. Norway has just suspended it. Yes, they will see and follow the studies. What happens in Denmark and in Italy, and then try to adjust. So the pandemic, in actual sense, is an ongoing issue. There is no concrete, there is no established facts that is not undergoing changes. So all we know about COVID-19 disease, all we know about coronavirus is is just in fluid form. It's not solid yet. It's a year ago since the outbreak. So any information you have about COVID-19 disease may change tomorrow. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'll be ready to do my best.
Let's put our hands together. Dr. Nomai, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Very, very detailed and a lot of information for us to digest. And I believe for many of us, you're concerned, let me not use the word fear. Doctor has already addressed most of it. But if we do have questions, we can take a few before he sign off. Any questions? Anyone with questions? We passed a piece of paper. Did you write it? Okay, you can go ahead and say your question. Okay.
They are mentioned here, what the doctor said. So
what should you do?
The first is autoimmune disease, that is lupus, and the other one is thrombophilia, that is caused by I need thinning the blood. Okay. So I don't know what to do now.
Sir, you got the question?
Yes, the two conditions, they are underlying condition, but in a negative form. If an underlying condition is in a negative form, it is good to be cautious of the vaccine. If I were you, I will wait until the pandemic is over. and then discuss continuously with your GP. So it is important that we have to look at the type of vaccine. The one with good efficacies, with reduced side effect, can be advised to be taken. Pfizer is, for one reason or the other, would be advisable if one wants to take the vaccine, yes.
Thank you, sir. Yes, somebody here first. Go ahead for a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. A lot of information. Knowledge. My situation is that I've been infected, and by the grace of God, I got over it. Right. And the question is, would you advise, because you said in your lecture that somebody who had it already is already inoculated by the virus, would you say advise that I go ahead and take it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but then there are a couple of generic fear out there between the different types of vaccines that are made and the process by which they make them. The first one is the messenger RNA, and then you have the V vector. And people have this fear that the messenger RNA does something to your genetic makeups. It could be scientifically right or wrong. I do not know the answer, and that's why I'm asking. And that's one reason why people are kind of afraid to go ahead and take either the Pfizer or any of the manufacturer that their type of vaccine is based on the mRNA. Is that true, or it's just a myth out there?
I'm not very sure of the answer to that question. Yes, it is tampering. It is tampering with your DNA. Messenger RNA is, I think, is a secret to humanity, or to being a human. Normally, this is a scissors. We call it a scissors. It cuts your DNA and patch it together differently. So we don't actually know, on the long run, how much patches. Is it going to patch your DNA in a wrong direction, or are you going to patch your DNA in a so I think there are a lot of fears exercised in that direction. We don't actually know, but as far as we are concerned, it helps to reduce mortality from COVID-19.
Okay, that's good. It reduces mortality, but it doesn't give a guarantee of what down the line in future years what the DNA of generations to come will be. Okay, so with that question answer, would you now say it is more preferable to take the V vector-based type of vaccine?
Yes, I will. For those who are having the fear, I will advise that, yes.
Okay, but that's not what Norway has prioritized. Norway doesn't have this, the one made by Pfizer is mRNA. AstraZeneca and the one from India and some other places. But these are the ones with the least efficacy. So when you say the efficacy of a virus is 99% or 60%, in terms of life expectancy, or what does that translate into?
Efficacy means protect you from COVID-19. And prevent you getting the serious infection and the admission to the hospital. Life expectancy, yes, it prolongs your life. If you don't end up in the intensive ward, your life is prolonged. Okay. So the efficacy, 95, 98, the protective immune response, that's what we are talking about.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The other question will be that for the different, there are a couple of risky groups that you mentioned, and she related to one for people using blood thinners, right? And that's understandable easily. But what about people with high blood pressure or low blood pressure? They are not on any of the thinners, but they are using some medication to regulate their blood pressure. Would you still recommend that they talk to the GP first? Or if they are offered, they just go ahead and take this?
If they are offered, they just go ahead. If there are no any other underlying heart disease, if you are using blood thinner, you are using high blood pressure medicine because of myocardial infarction, or because of cardiomegaly, the enlargement of the heart of the patient, then if you have any other underlying condition, in addition, not a simple single blood pressure, not a single blood thinner treatment, but there must be underlying conditions in addition. So I would just go ahead, if I have high blood pressure and I'm using blood thinner and antihypertensive, then I would just, are you finished? Okay.
Sir, can I just enlighten on the blood pressure, if it's okay?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I have an underlying condition, which is high blood pressure. And I have taken the Pfizer because my job recommends that we have to be we're on the field, with the patient every day. So I don't think that should scare people from, because you have high blood pressure, like doctor just said, it's not a condition that you have that will make you not to take it, unless you have other conditions, which I think is always good to consult your doctor before these things are taken. And it's the doctor that recommend. Like I see him every day calling his patient from 80 years old, So after seeing the underlying condition, they recommend. So the doctors must have seen the kind of condition. They go into your diagnosis. I think they do. And they call you, okay, you are eligible for the vaccination. So I'm still alive. I haven't taken mine. So I think if we have opportunity to take this vaccination, I think is recommended. We shouldn't let the underlying condition take us, and especially with the RNA and it shouldn't, because I have heard so much. I know as Christians, it is, we know God. Everything, we are the children of God. We are the apple of God's eyes. And we are created by Him. Christianity will not stop you from what the doctors are doing, because He has given them the wisdom to be able to come out with this. And with that, we are secured in Jesus' name. That is just my own way of saying we should be the one, even the forefront, to be encouraging people as the child of God. Like the Norwegian said, I have a neighbor who told me, I think it was the day I was going to take my second one. He said, what can I do? I said, oh, I'm going to take my vaccine. They said, oh, I've been thinking not to do it, but I said, this is dugnad for Norge. Dugnad is everybody. Dugnad is a combination of everybody coming together to prevent the disease. So it's advisable for Christians who are not having underlying disease to be able to take it, so that we all can gather in church again and serve God. Because if others are taking and others are not taking, it means there are still people who are going to be home and watching online. And online there's a lot of distraction. God bless you.
Let me just correct her a little bit. It is actually patients having underlying diseases that are the number one candidate for the vaccination. Patient with underlying disease. Because those are the one that the COVID-19 actually takes very quickly. Patient with underlying disease. And I outlined some of the underlying disease just now. Blood pressure wasn't there in the sense that it is a simple problem. Nearly everybody has blood pressure. Nearly everybody. As far as we are a stressful human being, your blood pressure will be elevated. Please.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. The last one, so I give opportunity to others, is that if the vaccination doesn't prevent you from being a carrier of the virus, even though you are vaccinated, you can still transmit the virus. Right. The vaccination, from the transient effects that you listed there, even though it's transient, but the list seems to be endless compared to actually the symptoms of somebody who is infected with COVID-19. And the vaccination does not necessarily stop the social distancing situation as we see it now, until we achieve the herd immunity. Then you now start questioning yourself, is it worth it? Because the virus itself mutates almost every time. And we do know that these vaccines, as they are created for today, they are designed for that mutation that we know. We do not know what's going to happen. So it may not be something you can answer now, but the question is, going forward, with all the mutations that are coming in, and all these experiments with mRNA that does something to the DNA that we do not even know the effect, given until maybe there's a generation or 2 generations after us. I kind of question it. Not that I won't take it, but I have that concern, academic concern in my heart. And the other thing is that, what about traditional medicine, alternative medicines? Are there other hygienic measures that maybe the society can encourage that could actually stop this virus? Thank you. I'm sorry for taking too much time.
That's a long one. The question one, yes, it's up to you to decide to take or not to take. There's nobody that's been forced. To me, I think the benefit outweighs the negativity. I've taken the 2 Pfizer. I don't know what is going to end up with my life in future, and I don't care. You see. So I live now. So I'm not gone. So the question 2, yes, the natural herbs are there in the market. Before God, before men, they were gods, not the opposite. The natural herbs are usually up to date, trying. People are trying those things of that. Is just because there are 2 different things between the scientific and non-scientific. Natural herbs are usually not so scientific. That is the problem with it. We don't know the dosage, efficacy, or this and that. So everything is rosy. I took it and it was good, and it's usually one person. So we are dealing with science, which we believe in, than herbalist. So yes, if you go to China, you will see a lot in stock. We go to the herbalist pharmacy, you will see the COVID-19 medicine has been being used for many years. For many years. So Chinese has wide varieties of herbs against SARS too. So I'm sure they have it also against, but they are still producing now. They actually are the world leader in vaccine production. They have about 7 in production. So whether the Chinese releases COVID-19 in order to start producing to the world and make more money, nobody knows. So whether the Americans releases the coronavirus into the world so that they can be producing much money and at a very fast rate, nobody knows. President Trump says American first, make America great again. Whatever is in that very content, nobody knows. So I'm very sure that herbs are very, very important. The very many people that carries it or manufactures it, they are at work.
Let's be quick about it.
Yeah, just a quick. My question is concern our family in Nigeria. Nigeria recently imported 3.94 million doses of Astrazeneca, and of course, this same vaccine is in trouble at the moment. And we also know that majority of them, they look agile, they look healthy, but many of them have underlying conditions that they don't even know. So, and for the fact that they are even skeptical that COVID-19 is not in Nigeria. So, what advice do you have for them that's in Nigeria? That should they go ahead to take this vaccine, knowing that they don't even know whether they have underlying condition? Plus the fact that the type of vaccine that is available in Nigeria at the moment is in trouble in the world now.
Well, if you are finished, like I said, Chinese vaccine, Russian vaccine, Astrazeneca is a European vaccine. Astrazeneca is widely known. Their product is usually very good. They actually have saved more lives than this very 1% or 0.1% one is talking about. So I will advise that take what you get. As far as it's a pure AstraZeneca, we know that the positive aspect of it outweigh the negative aspect. So take what you get.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Any other question? Yes, you want to ask a question? Yes. Do we have questions from our online viewers?
Sir, you just mentioned about the efficacy of AstraZeneca here in Europe, but I have one information here that says that Ireland government suspends use of Oxford AstraZeneca because it has negative effect on blood clotting. So I don't know, do you still advise that? I don't know if Norwegian government is still using AstraZeneca because they are basically using Pfizer. But this AstraZeneca, I don't know how efficacy. Presently, they are saying that it has negative effect on blood clotting.
First and foremost, it is used for those under 65 age. So if 80 years old is taking AstraZeneca or 90 years old, it's not advisable to begin with. So it depends on age. It depends on the underlying conditions. So in Europe today, AstraZeneca is being suspended. But you go to England, the British, they have not suspended AstraZeneca. They still continue using it because they feel that the benefit outweigh the one person that is dead or two persons that died. And nobody actually knows if there is any correlations between this death and the taking in of the vaccine. So AstraZeneca is not actually dangerous per se.
Thank you. I guess Doctor has done a great job for us already. So if there are no questions, we will bring this section to an end. Sorry, unless you have a final word to say to us. But just before Doctor says something, as a church, we are not against taking vaccine. I hope you all know that. We advise and encourage everyone, as it becomes available to you, please do take. And if you are not taking, don't go telling others not to take. Let it be a personal thing.
I agree with you.
If you don't want to take, it's okay. If you have faith to go through it, that's fine. But don't impose it on others. Let people decide what they want to do. But as a church, we'll encourage everybody to do so. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, too.
To you. Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Let's appreciate that. Thank you so much. Can we get Sister? Please come ahead. Please, one more time. Let's put our hands together. Praise God. When you have the privilege to listen to someone who has been practicing for as long as the age of many of us, 35 years, you should clap very well. Put your hands together. Praise God. God bless you, sir. It is our prayer that you will not serve government with reproach. You will end your retirement very well. And the legacy that you have set in this land of Norway, Your children and children's children will continue it in Jesus' name. Okay, I want to say thank you to every one of you, and especially also to our online viewers. And by the way, in case you don't know, I think this Sunday is Doctor's birthday as well. So it's going to be another opportunity to celebrate him. So Doctor will look forward to see you this Sunday to celebrate you on the occasion of your birthday. So please, wherever you are in Stavanger, be around and let's honor him. Praise God. So let's one more time share the grace, and as we leave, may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely God's goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part. We hope your questions and concerns were all addressed. Yes, to our first timer, thank you so much as well.